And that brings us to our next presentation, which I know a lot of people have been waiting for. We have Ezzybills talking to us about all things automation and how their product can really help remove that administrative burden from you and your team. So without further ado, I would like to welcome Ezzybills to present their presentation for this year's Tradies Virtual Roadshow.
Hello, this is Michael from Ezzybills, and I'll be presenting a webinar for you today. The webinar is going to cover two different situations or two workflows. One of them relates to expenses into Simpro, and the other one relates to the processing of bills in Simpro that are related to a purchase order. So I'm going to cover those two workflows, and should also say something about Ezzybills. So Ezzybills is a document processing system with a workflow engine. So we identify documents, we extract information off documents, and then depending on the workflow, we do something with those documents. Common workflows are approval workflows where you want bills, for example, approved before they go into Simpro or Xero or QuickBooks. You can have workflows which relate to, say, processing of sale orders. You can have workflows that might check purchase orders, or extract the information off a bill and check to see if the purchase order exists in Simpro, for example. So lots of different workflows. We're an online service, so you can go to the ezzybills.com and set up a trial account and connect it to Simpro and basically do what I'm going to show you in this demo. So I think I'll get started. So I'm just going to log into an Ezzybill account that's currently connected to Simpro, one of my Simpro accounts. And you'll see here there's a couple of different menu items. So the most important are the dashboard where your documents will appear. Documents can be uploaded into Ezzybills in a variety of ways. One of them is via email. So if your company is called Bill's Bikes, and you'll get an Ezzybill email address called billsbikes@ezzybills.com, and you can email your bills or other documents to that email address, or you can drag and drop, which is what I'll be doing in this demo, or you can use our mobile app as well. So you've got the dashboard. You also have the workflow. So workflow is basically controls how documents are processed. So you'll see here I've got actually quite a few different workflows, and you can set up multiple workflows, and depending on how you want documents processed, you'll have different workflows for them. And in the first demo, I'm going to use this Simpro job costs workflow. So what actually happens is the expense will come in, we're going to assign a job to it, and then it'll get exported into Simpro. So that's the first one. So I'll just start right there. So what I'm going to do is come over here and upload a receipt into Ezzybills. So if we have a look at the receipt, so this is a receipt. It relates to some job, which that information is not on the bill. So the way normally these are processed is someone would go into Simpro, create a PO for this $32 receipt. They would enter the details, set the job for the order, and go through quite a lengthy process just to process this receipt. So and that's why our customers have come to us and said, look, we want to be able to process receipts into Simpro, and so we set up a workflow so that they can do that. So this document's come in, we've extracted the information off the document. Now, in this case, there's no information on the receipt. We haven't read anything off the receipt that relates to a job. So somebody's going to have to come in here and associate this expense with the job. So I'm just going to do that right now. I'm going to save it. And now it'll move to the next stage of the workflow, which was export. So if we have a look over here, so we've extracted it, I've gone and assigned a job, and then it's going to get exported into Simpro. We also support a mobile app, which can upload documents into Ezzybills. And in that mobile app, you can actually specify jobs as well. So this receipt's currently being exported into Simpro, and let's go and have a look at it. So we've allocated the correct job to this receipt. We've created the receipt. We've automatically created a purchase order for it, and then we've receipted in the information of the receipt. So everything has been completed. We've gone and attached the actual receipt to the order, and it's done. The cost has been associated with that job, and really that's all you need to do. So you can imagine you could come in, someone might give you a few receipts, and you would just simply drag and drop these receipts into Ezzybills, and Ezzybills will just go and process all these receipts and put them all into Simpro for you. And all you need to do is basically assign the job to those receipts. So you can see that's what I've done here. So I've uploaded them to Ezzybills, and I'm just going to go and assign different jobs now, just for example. So this might be a testing, and then the other receipt might be related to something else. Electrical installation, and then the last one I can assign it to something like aircon installations. So I've gone through and I've assigned all these jobs to these receipts, and they'll just all go into Simpro like before. So it takes about 20 seconds to go through, and then they'll all go through. So that's the most efficient way to process receipts into Simpro, is just use Ezzybills and assign them as after Ezzybills is extracted, identified who the supplier is, the amounts and that, then it will go straight into Simpro for you. All right. Now so that's the first part of the demo, which relates to how to handle process expenses, receipts, etc., that aren't related to a purchase order. The next part will be expenses that are related to purchase orders. So and that's the more common situation, where you have something like a bill, like a bill here, and this bill has a purchase order associated with it, and so we want the bill to come in into Simpro the information get matched against the PO in Simpro, and the bill attached, etc. So that's the scenario I'm going to go through now. So I'll just set up Simpro. So the purchase order is 45679. So I'm just going to go into Simpro and create a purchase order for this. It's I think it's Bunnings. All done. So I've gone and created a purchase order for that now. And and you'll notice that I actually created an empty PO. So if we have a look at the purchase order, there's no line items. So half of our customers, or our customers, about half of the bills they process, that they wouldn't put PO line items on them. Sometimes they have POs that have line items, and Ezzybills will match against those line items. Otherwise, they're empty POs, so no line items. So we support both scenarios. Before I go and process, I'm going to switch the workflow to a PO check workflow, where we're going to do the PO checking, make sure the purchase order exists in Simpro, and then we're going to export it to Simpro. So let's go and do that now. So I'm just uploading the bill, and it'll extract the information, identify who the supplier is, read the PO, and then it'll do a PO check. The PO check should pass because I just went and created the PO, and then it'll go straight into Simpro. So if we have a look at the log, we can see here that the purchase order existed in Simpro. And now we're going to export the bill into Simpro. Actually, we're not going to export the bill into Simpro because we have a duplicate in Simpro. So let me go into Simpro. So we do duplicate checking as well. So let's go into Simpro and find this duplicate. Where are we? Go into purchase orders. I'll just have a look at what the invoice number is. It's 8172. I'll look for all of them. All right, so there's a duplicate in there. So I'm just going to delete out that. Right. And this time when we upload the bill, once again we're going to extract the bill, which means we'll read off all the details and the purchase order, etc. And then we'll do the PO check to see if the purchase order exists. And one of the other workflows that we customers often use is what we call the approval workflow, or the project approval workflow. So this workflow is very similar to what I'm showing you right now, with one important difference, which is you can do approvals on it. So when you create a purchase order in Simpro, you would assign a project manager. And so what Ezzybills will do is, after we've check the PO in Simpro. We'll go and find out who the project, look up Simpro to find the project manager, and then we would email the bill details to the project manager, and they would have a look at it, and then they can either approve or reject. And if they approve it, then the bill will get exported into Simpro. So in this case, the bill goes through now because I've gone and removed the duplicate. And so once again, Ezzybills is, let's close all this. Ezzybills has brought this receipt into Simpro and matched against the PO, all the line items. So if we have a look at all the line items on the bill, you'll see that Ezzybills has extracted them and created the line items in the PO and then receipted in the bill and attached the bill to the purchase order. And so that's, I guess that's the second part of the demo. So the first part we showed how Ezzybills can process expenses. We can automatically bring receipts, etc., into Simpro and assign a job to them. And then the second part of the demo was how we processed bills related to purchase orders. And yeah, I've shown that as well. So I've covered the two scenarios that I wanted to cover today, and I think there's plenty of information there for a good Q&A session to discuss the different things, different workflows that Ezzybills supports, such as workflows that maybe export into Simpro and then we push some of the bills out into Xero, or they go to Simpro and then Xero, or QuickBooks. So we've got those scenarios. We also support e-invoicing. So Bunnings, for example, once Bunnings sends e-invoices, then they can come into Ezzybills and we can bring them in to Simpro for you. And yeah, there's a whole host of other things we can do. And we can certainly discuss those in Q&A. So I hope everyone's learned something today, and I look forward to discussing. Thank you very much. Have a good afternoon, evening, or whenever, I guess. Thanks. Bye.
Hello, Michael. Thank you for such a great presentation. How are you?
Yeah, good. It must have been late at night, I think. I'm a different person after about 11 o'clock. So.
You're so technical that I'm always really impressed when you can do customer-facing stuff. But I think what you did underestimate is just how cool Ezzybills is. And how much it can completely transform your business. You know, I recommend it all the time, and you know we use it internally for MO. It removes all admin requirements to enter supplier invoices instantaneously for less than 14 cents an invoice. Like, why would I do anything else?
Yeah, I'm sure that anyone who uses Ezzybills will use it for life. I'm absolutely sure about that. There's absolutely no reason why you wouldn't use Ezzybills to process your bills, and especially those expenses as well. It's when I see what people do when they're using inventory systems, how difficult, how time-consuming it all is, all so that they can control their expenses and cost their jobs and all that. Like, they're the reasons to do it. There are good reasons to do it, but the amount of effort they have to do is a lot. And so I think
Yeah.
Ezzybills is perfect for that.
And I don't actually know the startup story behind Ezzybills, Michael. I know you came up with this idea, but how did you come up with it? What inspired you to build this?
I think the key thing is, so I was developing software for small businesses, medium businesses,
Yep.
and 20 years ago when you built software for small businesses, it was really a case of you would have to, build a bit of software that they would install on a computer, and they would have to pay you, enough money to justify you doing that. So, it's a fairly expensive process to build software, and so, you'd basically spend a lot of time finding work, then you would do the job, and then you get paid, and it was sort of a, one paycheck per job you did. But of course, when systems started going online, and I think Xero was one of the key movers there, you suddenly had a very large audience of people who are basically using a piece of software. And so if you build a solution for that software, so if you build something for Xero, suddenly it can be used by 1 million people, not just one person.
Yes.
And that changes the economics of development completely.
Totally.
And so, so that's why, these days people can, spend $100 a year with Ezzybills and get a product which would cost them hundreds of thousands of dollars, sort of thing, in the old days to do. So,
and like we just said, literally $100 a year for one of your smaller packages, depending on your pricing is all bound by how many invoices you're throwing through it. But like people always ask me, do you mean $100 a month? No, $100 a year. And it's just so affordable, right? Like, why would you not do it?
Yeah. Well, I know, like we charge on a per document basis, and $100 is basically 700 documents. And people often don't actually know how many invoices they process a year. It's generally about 3 times as many as they think they use. So there are a lot of invoices out there. We're more than happy to work with that model, basically.
Unreal. And one of the things I love about Ezzybills is your absolutely intelligent internal workings, where it doesn't matter where the invoice number is on the invoice or where the details are. You read it and spit out the details, which is really intuitive and just makes the admin side of it seamless.
That's why we spend so much time developing, because it's an extremely difficult problem to extract information off documents. You need to be like a person. The computer has to be able to think like a person to identify, if the key thing about a PDF is if a human can read it, then a computer should be able to, and that's the principle we work off. So if someone gives a PDF, then there's if a human could understand where the invoice number is, then we just need to come up with the right algorithms so that we can get the computer to understand. Ezzybills does an amazing job sometimes. I am shocked sometimes when we see some invoice which looks ridiculous and Ezzybills is able to work out what it is. So
that's pretty clever. That's very impressive.
It's pretty good.
You showed a lot in there. This is one of the questions we had. You showed a lot about how when you're dropping and dragging an invoice, you can assign it to a particular job. But I was talking about when a PO is actually assigned and there's a PO number on the invoice. Can you walk through how simple that process then becomes?
So the typical scenario would be for Simpro is there is a PO would be created in Simpro. So most likely someone in the warehouse has picked up the phone, ordered a bunch of things, and then gone into Simpro and created a PO for it. And when they create the PO, they would have put in the supplier associated the PO with maybe a particular approver, and they probably they've got the job associated with it as well. So and they don't really need anything else. That PO is the key. So when the bill comes in, Ezzybills will check to see can it find that PO in Simpro. So we'll read the PO number off the bill, check to see if we can find the PO in Simpro. If we can, then we just bring the whole lot into Simpro. So we would create the lines on the PO, receipt in the bill.
Yeah.
Really, that's all you need to do.
That's awesome.
Once it's done. And the thing to remember too is often people wonder about what Ezzybills is doing. Well, we're really not doing anything different than if you manually did it yourself. What we're doing isn't like hidden in any way. We're just doing through a back-end API exactly what you would do if you were doing it manually. Yeah. So it's you know, if Ezzybills puts it in there, it's like you didn't have to do it. That's the main thing. Yeah.
So one of the questions was around an approval process, and you showed this, but from a perspective of MO, are you okay if I just spend a couple of seconds telling them about how I see it set up the approval process in Simpro?
Yeah, sure.
Because I get so excited about Ezzybills, as you know. I sell it everywhere I can. But you know, where it works really effectively, this approval process is that, you know, if you've got a project manager on a job and they need to be responsible for making sure the costs are going through the job correctly, and they're the stopgap. You know, they are meant to know exactly what is being costed against that job. Ezzybills will process that, and when you've got that workflow approval process set up that Michael was showing us earlier, the project manager will actually get an email to say, hey, this invoice has just hit your job. Are you ready to approve it? Inside their email inbox, they'll be able to click approve and add any notes, or reject it and add any notes, and Ezzybills will continue the process. And that is just unbelievably technically, you know, advanced in my opinion. Did I give that enough justice, Michael? Did I miss anything?
Yeah. Well, you could have thanked. We did a roadshow in Perth, and there was a Simpro user who came up to me and told me exactly what he wanted. And at the time, I was no expert at Simpro, but I listened closely to what he was saying, and he described how, you know, the purchase order, there's a approver associated with it, the manager for it, and that's exactly what he wanted. He wanted that person to approve it, and so we built exactly what he asked for, and of course, it made sense. Yeah, it made perfect sense, and that's pretty common about what we build. The same with it, like expensing the receipts.
Yes.
So that's the same situation, a Simpro customer. So we basically work at the top of the most important or time-consuming parts of the accounts payable process.
Yeah.
And we solve a problem, and then of course a customer would call us up and want the next problem solved, and that's basically the process we've gone through.
Yeah, which I love, because you're so adaptive to what people need. You listen, you know, you do really listen, and I very much value Ezzybills for that. So, all right, I've still got Kelly writing questions up in front of me, so I don't miss anything. Someone's asking about the setup time and what is the general maintenance of Ezzybills over time.
For setup, all you need to do is go and register a free account from our website. So that's like a 10-second kind of thing. After you've done that, you would go into Simpro, and I think it's settings integration. You can create a sort of an integration key, and you would just basically go to the Ezzybills apps, click on Simpro, and then just put that key in. Once you put the key in, we're basically connected to Simpro. And so you've done the registration, you put the key in. So we're talking about maybe 5 minutes of setup.
Yeah.
You can definitely always just call us as well. We don't mind helping out. But once you've done that, uploading a bill into Ezzybills is the next step. All the information we need to know to process that document isn't being, you don't have to put it in. We're going to pull that from Simpro. So suppliers, PO numbers, things like that, item codes, that's all coming from Simpro. There's nothing to enter in Ezzybills. So in the typical case, there's no real setup time.
And what about, I agree, I mean, the setup is super simple. For anyone overwhelmed by that setup in terms of integrations, give us a buzz. We do it for Ezzybill customers every day of the week, connecting them with SimPro, and we do make a couple of minor modifications to the Ezzybill settings just to make sure that we can upload new catalogue parts and a few other bits and pieces. What about general maintenance, Michael? I mean, I haven't had to maintain the system at all since I've had it for about a year now. What do you think?
So because it's a cloud-based system, we are doing things in the background to make sure everything runs smoothly. But there are no limits. It's not like you're going to run out of space or number of documents that we can process and things like that. So there's no real need from an Ezzybills perspective. Generally, I would say from a maintenance perspective, what I would say is your own processes, really. That's probably the most important thing. How can you make your processes better to align closer to how Ezzybills works or something like that? So I don't think there's any. I never do any real maintenance or anything like that on accounts.
I
it's
agree.
not really a need. Yeah.
You talked about integrating with other accounting packages. Are there any other job management systems that you're integrating with currently, or in the realm or in the midst of integrating with?
I don't know. Let me check. I'm super busy all the time.
I've got a question specifically about ServiceMate.
Okay. So we obviously do integrate with different systems. Like from an inventory systems, we obviously do DIA. Scorer is a job management system. We integrate with them. For the ServiceMate, I had so we haven't built an integration for ServiceMate. But I was talking to a customer this morning. They use ServiceMate and Xero. And what he wanted was, so after Ezzybills pushes the bill off into Xero, he wanted Ezzybills to email the PDF to ServiceMate. So I think every ServiceMate account has an email address associated with it. So Ezzybills would then send the PDF through to ServiceMate, and so it'd be sitting there ready to attach to the job. And there's also the ability to put some information on that email so that ServiceMate can pull it and associate it directly with the right job.
Yes.
So we do some. We've quite lots of different tasks in our workflow to do different things. So you can certainly, if you're using ServiceMate, my guess is that's probably how you would do it. You'd get Ezzybills to probably export it to Xero and then email across the PDF to ServiceMate.
Awesome. Okay, well, I think we have a couple of ServiceMate users on today. So either maybe just reach out to Ezzybills through their website and you can have a chat to them about that. I know I'm running out of time, but I've still got questions flying in. Handwritten documents or PDFs that have handwritten changes, does Ezzybills cope with that, or is that difficult?
I generally say, we can't really read handwritten, and the reason I say that is because it's just the reality. People don't write
the same.
Write cleanly enough to be read. If they did, then we could. But in practice, I don't think it matters too much. So with a typical receipt, there's generally might be an order number on it that's computer generated. And it's probably associated, if it's an expense, you're going to associate with a job.
Yeah.
And during that assigning to the job, you might have to put in the amount. We might not read the amount if it's hard to read, so you just put it in. Same if it was a handwritten bill associated with a PO, then during the assigning the bill to the PO, during that approval stage, you're just going to choose the PO. And once you've done that, then Ezzybills will take care of it. It doesn't really matter that we couldn't read the details off it because you've put it in then, and it will go through. The main issue with handwritten is for automation is just consistency.
Yeah.
And this comes back to that whole process thing. If you're dealing with thousands of handwrittens in a month, you need to change your processes, because that's costing you a lot of time.
Totally right, and one of our mantras is, what do we need the piece of paper for in the first place? So let's save the tree and leave it on the computer, and let Ezzybills do the work. So
yeah, now so in terms of a handwritten change to a document, I see that. So obviously, if it's a scanned document and you've gone and if it's a PDF and you've modified it some way, and then you scan it into Ezzybills, then we'll do OCR and extract the details. And if we can read it, then fine.
Yeah, great.
Process it, yeah.
Okay. You spoke a little bit. I'm frantically trying to get through these questions. Email integration. You spoke about a little bit about that, and emailing it through or dropping and dragging into Ezzybills itself. But can you just elaborate? When you have the email integration, you simply just get a couple of extra folders within your emails that you can drop and drag invoices into, and Ezzybills does the rest. Is that right?
Yeah. So I was surprised they didn't cover that in my webinar. So in the webinar, you would have saw an email on the left-hand menu item, and if I'd gone in there, I would have mentioned that we support the syncing of Office 365 and G Suite. So what that means is you can connect Ezzybills to your G Suite email account, or you can connect Ezzybills to your Office 365 account, at which point Ezzybills is monitoring your email. The typical situation would be is, as soon as we've connected, we'd create this Ezzybills upload folder in your Outlook or your Office 365. And what you would do is you would just drag the email into that folder, and that would trigger Ezzybills to pull from it. We support the automatic pulling, but generally people would drag into that folder as well.
Yeah, I love that. It's just so seamless. Drop and drag, and you don't have to think about it again. And when it is processed, it actually pulls it out of that initial folder and puts it into a processed folder straight away as well, which is
Yeah, and that's one of the areas where we're currently building some more integrations with the variety of G Suite and Office 365 applications. So you can imagine dropping things into Excel, into different Microsoft tools, SharePoint to store your docs and things like that. So
awesome! I'm excited to see what's coming up. I'm going to ask one more question. I've got a couple more, but I'm going to ask one more because it's a follow-up question to the maintenance question we had before. And they said, what about the setup of workflows, which that would be part of your initial setup, obviously, generally. But obviously you could do them if you find you need them as you go, right, at any point.
Yeah, so if you went to Ezzybills Click Free Trial and chose Simpro as what you want to integrate with, then we will give you the standard workflow, which is the workflow which is typical for bill processing. So it's called the Simpro Check PO workflow. And what it is basically if you uploaded the bill, we'd check to see if the PO existed in Simpro, and if it did, it would go straight into Simpro. So that's the standard workflow, and that's what you would get. So in that case, you wouldn't need to change any workflow of that. That'd be the most common. If you want to process expenses, then you could go into workflow, click on new, and then one of the workflows that we created for you, you can just choose it and create it. And then you can upload directly to that workflow. Some people, so each, within Ezzybills, you can have multiple workflows and upload to different workflows, or you can also create multiple Ezzybill accounts. So you might want to create a couple of different Ezzybill accounts. One subscription will cover you anyway.
Yeah, great. That was the question I had around if you're using Simpro and Xero, and if you have costs that aren't related to jobs, you can have them pushed directly to Xero, and you just have Ezzybills allows you to have two connections with one subscription over the top, doesn't it? Yeah,
that's right. And you can even one of the common requests we've had is the ability to switch between. So a bill comes in, and that bill is you want it to go to zero, not Simpro.
Yeah.
Then we now have the ability during that approval to switch it to go to zero instead of Simpro. So previously it was a case of everything that should just go to either Simpro, you send it to that workflow. Anything to zero should send to a different workflow. But if you like, you can just switch between them now during the approval process.
Unreal, that's fantastic. And then the final follow-up question to maintenance, it was talking about data, they were asking about data integrity checks. Correct me if I'm wrong, but whenever there is an error, you will get an automated email from Ezzybills as long as you put your email in there to tell you that something's gone astray.
Yeah, so I guess this is a part of that setup where I said you didn't need to do anything. Well, you probably do occasionally need to do things. So there's a bunch of notifications that we just send as default, and then there's a bunch of notifications that you can enable. Things like from a data integrity perspective, so when we export something out into any system at all, we basically verify that what we pushed out is what we thought.
Yes.
And so we would do that. Another thing that can happen is you can have a PO, and this is common in Simpro. So you've gone and created this PO with certain pricing, and the PO adds up to $100, and the bill comes in for the exact same line items, but the bill is only $90. Somewhere along the line, something's wrong. Some price is wrong. Yeah. So that is an example of where we would notify you, and it's probably that the the bill has the wrong price on it, most likely.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So that you would get a notification in that case.
Look, and Ezzybills, they are such a fantastic product, and my team at MO work really closely with Ezzybills, particularly to set up Ezzybills accounts when they're integrating with Simpro. So please feel free to reach out to us. We're more than happy to help set it up on your behalf. And look, I'm well and truly over time, but I would like to thank you, Michael, and also you're giving away a $250 subscription for a lucky registered person here at Tradies Virtual Roadshow. So thank you.
Well, there you go.
Thank you. That'll be very well received, I am sure. So, Michael, thank you for joining us. I always have so much time for you, and I love what you're doing in the space of Ezzybills, and so grateful that you could join us on the Tradies Virtual Roadshow today.
Thanks very much, Tiffany.
Pleasure. I'll talk to you soon.
Yep. Bye.
Bye. All right, everyone, there you have it. That's Ezzybills. I love that product, and I'm not just saying that. I use it myself, and I also recommend it a lot. It really changes the way you do everything in terms of your invoicing when you're receipting. I actually had some other questions written down, which we didn't get time to cover, but I did, in a roundabout way, cover a lot of it around, use it for your job management software, but use it for your accounting package as well. Ezzybills has the capability to send it in two directions, and I absolutely love that. So, imagine a world where you don't even have to open the invoice when it comes in, and Ezzybills is doing the rest. So a massive thank you to Michael and the team at Ezzybills. They are really changing the world when it comes to this product, and I'm super excited about it. Don't forget, you're all in the draw to win a $250 Ezzybills subscription, and we will be announcing those winners next Friday afternoon.